Welcome to another S&P 500 analysis. Today is January 13, 2020. This is a midweek edition of the S&P 500 analysis. In this analysis, we're going to take a look at what transpired in the last couple of days, and especially today is a kind of mixed bag. So we're going to go through and see what that all means. So stay tuned. We're going to do a little bit of a change in sequence today. We're going to take a look at the indexes first, and then we go back and look at the sentiment and the internals. So let's start off with the S&P 500. As you can see, S&P 500 came up and was trying to come up to this channel here. Now, I just added this this trend line up here because I know there are people might be looking at this as a channel, and there's nothing wrong with that. I recall that I basically have used this as a little bit of a flag, right? Because the reason for that is I could make a projection using the measure move and essentially project these things up. Now, if you use a channel here, and also in addition to that, earlier we do not have these, this particular pivot high to make the connection. And then you got a lot of people looking at this as a wedge and all these other stuff because they were basically looking for a breakdown. But in addition to that, I basically just added this here for another point of perspective to look at, right? But I'm still sticking with this projection on these measure move as a potential target. So essentially this 3,900 will be the target that I'm focusing on right now for the S&P 500. And you can see that after making a new high here last Friday, it pulled back and trying to get back up above that. But right now, again, we're still basically looking at the possibility of any sort of a pullback. We're looking at the 3720 as the first support level to keep an eye on. So right now, we are not seeing much of anything here to warn that it's going to break down and collapse and try to come down here at this level, or even go back to the March low and that sort of thing. That is not in the card right now in the near term. Maybe later, but right now on the internals and and just the price action doesn't warrant that kind of a conclusion. So I'm not saying that it won't happen, but definitely based on probability, it's not likely in the near term. So anyway, let's go and take a look at the NASDAQ 100, and you can see the NASDAQ 100 is also made a high on Friday, and right now it's pulled back for the first couple of days, and right now it's trying to move back up. And again, we're still basically targeting these levels here, and essentially that's a major move of this particular triangle that I'm projecting. And people could use different things to project. It's just that, like I said, I'm using it so I could use the Fibonacci extension or the retracement to get a little bit more objective approach. And there's nothing wrong with using different approach. It's a matter of preference and whatever works for you. So right now we're still basically looking for this thing to if it come back down this level here, 12,439 area as the first level of support, essentially this pivot high. So again, nothing there to say it's going to go collapse, come down and go down to the March low. And looking at the Dow Jones Industrial, the Dow Jones Industrial was kind of interesting today because it was working on a closing high, and then during the last hour or so, it actually came down. Not only did not close at a new closing high, it actually closed down, I believe, approximately 8 points. So that's a little bit of a reversal here on the Dow Jones Industrial. So kind of keep an eye on that, although there's nothing there to be concerned at this time. It is still above this channel. And again, I'm basically using this as a flag and use that to project some major move up in this area. So essentially we're targeting these, level up here, the 32,000 area. The 618 is 32,221. And here on the Dow Jones Transportation, one thing is I tweeted out yesterday regarding to the Dow theory. We saw the Dow Jones Transportation close at a new all-time closing high, although today kind of pulled back a little bit. And that tells us that the don't be surprised to see the Dow Jones Industrial to close at a new closing high in the near term. So that's basically why I'm still looking for the Dow Jones Industrial to come up and close higher. And hopefully the other indexes also follow suit, because if today the Dow Jones closed at a new closing high without the S&P or the NASDAQ, and also the Russell did not close at a new closing high, then essentially it's only leave Dow Jones Industrial by itself closing at a new closing high, and there are some ramifications behind that if it did that. So looking at the Russell, right, the Russell 2000, we're essentially looking at this 1618, this 2177. It's the potential target. So looking at to move up toward the 22,000. You can see it broke this channel and it's made a new high yesterday, right? New closing high, and today it's pulled back. So I wouldn't be surprised if it pulled back a little bit and maybe come down to this trend line here, or even possibly get down to this pivot high here and check this pivot high near 2026. But all in all, I think the Russell is still relatively strong, and until the price action tells us otherwise. All right, so that is the index. So let's go and take a look at the sentiment and also the internal, and then we're going to take a look at the market profile chart, and I tell you what a couple things that I'm watching there, and kind of give us a clue of what to look forward to in the next few days, or maybe even next week. So we'll see. Let's go and take a look at the sentiment. And here, looking at the sentiment chart here, you see the VIX is close at 22.21 here. So it's still down at this lower level at between the 20 and the 30s level here. So nothing there to be fearful about, I guess. The market participant still in a little bit of a cautious mode, but the put-call ratio is still under 0.5. So risk is still on. And you can see that the SP 500 closed a little bit below the all-time closing high on Friday, but it is up today. It's up 0.23%, a little bit over 8.5 points. Now here's the mixed messages that we're going to see today. Is the market basically a little bit mixed. You see that the S&P 500 closed up a bit, but the up-down volume, there's 1.2 times more down volume than up volume. And when we look at the daily advanced decline, we actually see there are more advancing issue than declining issue. The advancer actually led the decliner by 191. So we got a positive AD advanced decline, daily advanced decline, but we have a negative up-down volume ratio. And here on the New York Stock Exchange, new high, new low, there were 272 more new highs than new low in the New York Stock Exchange. So that's relatively pretty good. It's above 200. And here we also see the advanced decline, cumulative advanced decline line on the New York Stock Exchange move up to another new high, but we did not see the S&P 500 close at a new high. So in terms of that, we still have a little bit more upside momentum on the cumulative advanced decline versus the index itself. So that's a positive. Now, looking at the NASDAQ also got a little bit of a mixed message, but it's a little bit reverse, kind of reverse of the New York Stock Exchange. Right, the NASDAQ was up, about a little bit over 0.6% and up a little bit over 81 points. But then you look at the up-down volume ratio, there was actually more up volume than down volume. There was 1.7 times more up volume than down volume. But if you look at the advanced decline, the daily advanced decline, there were actually more decliners than advancer. The decliner led the advancer by 322. So you see that mixed message there, but it's a little bit different than the New York Stock Exchange. New York Stock Exchange had a negative up-down volume ratio, but a slightly positive advanced decline. Now, the other thing is same thing with the New York Stock Exchange. The NASDAQ also had quite strong 52-week new high. There were 425 more new highs than new low. So that is pretty good for the NASDAQ. and it's basically holding up above that 400 level. Then now we see a little bit of a negative diversion on the cumulative advanced decline line for the Nasdaq, right? Because the daily advanced decline was negative today. So you see that the advanced decline kind of pulled back a little bit, the AD line, while the Nasdaq moved up. Yesterday, where we saw the advanced decline actually made a new high, while the Nasdaq was pulling back. So we saw a slight positive divergence between the cumulative AD line and the Nasdaq 100. And then today we see the Nasdaq move up, the cumulative AD line move down. So now we're seeing a slightly negative divergence. Right? So it's kind of mixed message today. That's why I think the market is still in a indecisive, cautionary state. I think there's going to be a little bit more of a consolidation before it decides which way to go. But from what I'm seeing in the market profile and also some of the stuff from the E-mini S&P 500 future, I think the near term is still a little bit more biased toward the upside. So let's go and take a look at that. Now here in the market profile chart here, let me zoom this in for you. Basically, you have seen a lot of time when I post on my Twitter account on the market profile, indicating that there's a pull high, pull low, single print, and that sort of thing. So you can see on today, we actually have a pull high. So what that means is that eventually this high will be taken out in the near term, because the indicator auction has not been completed. So the price will eventually come up and test this level and complete the auction before it decide to go either up or down. Now, also the other thing is also indicated on this chart here, there's this level here, 3824.5. This is the after-hour all-time high that was put in by the E-mini S&P 500 on January the 8th. So in the past, we have seen any all-time high that is put in, that is a non-pit session or regular trading hour, will get tagged. So in other words, during the regular session hour, the E-mini S&P 500 has to come up and take out that level in order to make it valid. So these levels will get taken out, and I suspect this one will also be taken out in the near term. So in summary, today the market is pretty much mixed. The New York Stock Exchange got a negative up-down volume ratio, but with a positive advanced decline. And then vice versa for the NASDAQ have a positive up-down volume ratio, but a negative advanced decline. And in addition to that, we saw that the Dow Jones Industrial was moving up and getting ready to close with a new closing high. Then all of a sudden, it reversed and then came back down and actually closed negative, down 8 points. But then when we look at the market profile chart, the market profile today, the E-mini S&P 500 finished with a pull high. So that's a unfinished business that the E-mini S&P 500 will have to come up and resolve that eventually in the near term. Then also there is the outstanding all-time high that was made in the extended hour on January the 8th of this year. So that all-time high will also need to be taken out. So that kind of indicating that the S&P 500 will at least see another new all-time high before this market decide to continue to go up or reverse and pull back or whatever it decide to do. But at least right now, based on those indications, that there seems to be another new high coming in the near term for the S&P 500. I hope you find this video to be useful and informative, and be sure to smash that thumbs up to help me promote and share this video on YouTube. Thank you for watching, and stay safe.